Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening, everybody. Militiaman and Crew, it's Thursday night, and this is just going to be what I call a little quick drive-by, only because the fact is obviously we went over some information yesterday, and then this morning I was fortunate enough to be invited onto Mark Z's show today, and we went over a lot of those things that we were pertinent. And so if you guys review back to where that came from, you're going to find that it stemmed from our video from last night. And so all you in Patreon, at patreon.com /MM and Crew, you'll see what we're talking about. It's fascinating, great stuff. And once again, our wonderful Samson has packed Discord full of great information. Poppy Peters shows up on occasion with his wonderful audios. Petra gives his wonderful input. We have Gigi and others that also help keep that place flowing and in real time. And I thank them all, because the crew makes sure that we try to do is real, positive as best we can. We don't hide from any negativity, but the bottom line is we don't focus in on it. But the good thing is that it's a live presentation that we bring in our rooms. So check it out. Here's a quickie, just because of the fact, what is Al-Sudani doing? Remember, if I'll just give it a brief, is that back on the 29th of April, we found out subsequently that they have real-time settlements capabilities, international compliance with the central bank. And then the Development Road project has been launched. So here's some indicators that what we believe is now it's time for payday. It's got to be, they're going to have to start funding these projects. And we're all eyes and ears and hands are on the oars, and and feet are in the boat, because we're hoping that tide rises. Since the Prime Minister announces the approval of a package of important projects related to the Holy Shrine of the Most High, the Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia Al-Sudani, launched the executive work on urban development projects for the southwestern side of the Holy Courtyard of Al-Hadari. So my point is, in this whole thing, is that infrastructure projects have a great deal of attention right now, and there will be follow-up with specialized teams present in the government for the purpose of overcoming obstacles. Basically what I'm getting from this is let's let the spending begin. It's a good sign that they're having this conversation. And there's another one that comes out today that says that we resolved the problems of lagging projects and set the date for the opening of Al-Hakim Hospital in Najaf. And it goes on to say that our vision for Al-Najaf government depends on the symbolism of the great city with its history and heritage, as well as the presence of the Holy Shrine. As we mentioned, the federal government will make every effort. Don't you just love that, translations? To implement service projects and support the work of the local government. So if they're going to implement the service projects and support the work of the local government, they're going to have to pay for it. The government's program focuses primarily on services. We know that. The service program and completion of service projects that have been lagging and have been ongoing for years are one of the inherited files that Al-Sudani has, and must be ended, because the survival of these projects means attrition and extinction, means that they're dead and over, in addition to many financial issues that increase the cost of the project compared to its real value. So they're saying we got to fix this, we got to get ready, and we got to go. They say that all problems were resolved. All problems were resolved. We granted approvals, and we set dates for completing these projects, especially the hospital, where we found a big leap in the work of the implementing company in comparison with the plan. So they've got to push on, because I think they want their money. They go on a few other things. This one here part is the foundation stone has been laid for the first project to produce glass. We talked about that earlier on. Mark Z asked me about that. This is the first of its kind in Iraq. It covers 25% of the country's needs, pointing out that the industrial city that was visited would be subject to this plan and with the investors. So is it a big 800 tons of glass a product a day? That's a lot of material. If you've ever driven a haul truck or anything like that and moving it, that's what we're talking about is end product. We're not talking about raw. So anyway, it's interesting. It says infrastructure projects are priority for the government, and the government cannot accept that in the year 2024 as all cities are lacking. So this article is interesting. So let's try that again. Infrastructure projects are a priority for the government and the governance. It cannot be accepted that in the year 2024 there are cities that lack services. Okay, so there it is. So in other words, they're addressing the fact that we're in 2024. We got to fix it because we're lacking in services. We got to fix this. So funding has been allocated for 10 projects, funding allocated for 10 projects in Najaf, worth 555 billion dinars, noting that the old city has privacy and the presence of visitors in it, as we have allocated a cleaning project worth 7 billion dinars for 3 years. I'm not totally sure how they mean by that, but the bottom line is that they're talking about funding the projects. So that's big. It was agreed that the government would contract with a specialized company to develop the Ashraf International Airport. So they're talking about internationalism. They're talking about funding it. It says our goal is to develop the airports and implement the Baghdad Airport plan with Najaf Airport. So ultimately, Baghdad Airport, we already know that it's been updated and rehabilitated and it's in the process. So let's see how that works out. But here's the fascinating part about this whole thing. That was just a sidebar because we're talking about funding. We're talking about where's the money coming from? Why haven't they done the projects? Why haven't they done that yet? And now we're seeing that they're openly talking about it. Al-Sudani, he's talking about it. And we know that the budget schedules are supposed to be involved and they're supposed to be voted on, and they're supposed to be with the Council of Ministers and then to the House of Representatives. We know that they said that they were with the legal team. We know all those little bits and pieces, and they have time frames. There's time frames that suggest prior to the end of the month, and there's some that says prior to the Eid al-Adha, and that is coming up. And I think that the back wall of their legislative recess is June 9th. So sometime in that window, these guys are moving forward, and obviously what I just read was about funding. So obviously there's going to be a need and a push to move on this. If they were going to fund the projects at 1310, they could have done that a year and a half ago. That's how I see it. Well, pretty close to a year and a half now. So anyway, there's a wonderful article that came out, and this isn't the first one. There's been 2 this month. Okay, so the first one that came out, which was interesting, and it's not necessarily Iraq related, but I'll say that the date of this first one, and it is related, because remember, Petra, our wonderful Petra, mentions all boats rise with the tide. So we're going to talk about something that we don't always talk about, and I'm only going to talk about it in brief because, once again, it's not my study, but I do find characteristics and patterns to be important. And we have done that. We've talked about that for over a year and a half now, real close. Well, as long as I've been in the Dinar, and most of you folks that know me, I usually find patterns that I stick with, and I usually do it for what I believe to be good reason. And many times, not always, they turn out to be a good observation and kind of give good guidance. That's what I hope to do anyway. That's why I'm here. It says PVCom Bank transforms mobile banking for 1 million customers in Vietnam with Timonos Digital on AWS. Okay, so this was May 16th, 2024. It says Vietnam's largest banks have launched PV Connect with Timonos Digital, an Amazon web-based service. It says the cloud-native digital banking platform PVCom Bank was able to quickly design, build, and launch their highly rated mobile app, transforming the mobile banking experience for at least 1 million of their customers. And why is that important? Well, it's interesting is that this isn't the first article, but this is post that was May 16th, and this is May 23rd. The same bank, Timonos Company. It says here, May 23rd, Geneva, Switzerland. Timonos says today it announced that Zain Cash, a subsidiary of March Holding and a leading payment service provider in Iraq, has gone live with Temenos core banking and payments to power the rapid growth and innovation of its digital payment services. Now remember, we said digital transformation with Iraq, digital transformation with the globe effectively, but we have this bank talking about digital transformation effectively with Vietnam, and then also now, well, or at or around the same time with Iraq. Why? Because they're going to change. Things are happening. Digital transformation. Okay, Zain Cash remains committed to delivering cutting-edge digital payment solutions to a broader spectrum of Iraqi customers, merchants, and here, SMEs, small, medium enterprises. Backbone of most successful economies are small, medium enterprises, okay? That's what they're doing. And we have to not take this lightly because it happened today. This is the 23rd of May. So I would say this article, Temenos, I don't know how you pronounce it, but platform will enable leading Iraq digital payment provider to scale rapidly, launch new products faster, and drive financial inclusion. So this is huge. If we think about this article above and the one I put in my room, there's two articles, one's on the top, one's on the bottom. It says, in respect to the digital transformation and the financial inclusion that will come from a partnership between Iraq and Temenos by going live with real-time gross settlements and payments, we can see that Iraq having the ability for RTGS, real-time gross settlements, you guys, it's big. And we already know that Alak has shown that that is in reality. Okay, so they have so what I believe is that since they have that ability for RTGS, it now shows a pattern that's emerged. The same pattern is showing up in partnership with Similarity, which is Vietnam, okay? So if you see this article below, which I'm gonna mention again, but there are no coincidences. In my view, the world's changing in a fashion like we've never seen before. The world is going to a fast and furious clearing evolution of payments and settlements to meet global needs of the people and likely all international commerce. It will happen on a level, I believe, on a level playing field. A level playing field to me, you guys, is that an equal footing, and when it becomes level, it means that it's synchronized and timed accordingly, so that when the trades start to happen, nobody gets left behind or nobody goes too fast. So anyway, it says the world's going to a fast and furious clearing evolution of payments and settlements to meet the global needs of the people and likely all international commerce. That's what we're believing. There's going to be maybe a portion of the world that maybe not on the system that we're talking about, the SWIFT, the ISO 20022, those types of systems. But the bottom line is, Iraq is, Temenos is, looks like Vietnam's going to be. Anyway, basically all of this will happen on a level playing field at far cheaper pricing, and that commerce of the world will feel it in the pocketbook. Of course they will, because why? Instead of costing $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 to move money per transaction, it's going to be very cheap. It's going to be 10, 20, 15, 25 cents on average for a transaction, somewhere in that ballpark. Don't hold me to it. But this basically plays into the pocketbooks and in their favor of all the people that do clearing throughout the world. It's going to be far cheaper effectively for everyone on the planet. And that's why some of these new systems that are coming into place, some of the technologies, one thing that leads to mind is the XRP. So people, there's others, to pay attention to that stuff because it's fascinating. And it's fascinating because they're really doing this stuff. Again, May 16th, Temenos Company, Vietnam. May 23rd, digital payments, digital scale payments with Temenos and Iraq. So let that sink in. Again, I think that this whole thing is about fast and furious, and I think that Iraq, if they're going to fund these projects that Al-Sudani is talking about, they're going to be needing to have fast and furious technologies that are safe, efficient, and quick. And I think all the region is going to have this ability at some point in time. They don't necessarily mean they're going to be, everybody's going to be using Temenos, but But the point is that the new electronic systems, you're going to have to communicate. Those banks that have been sanctioned in Iraq, they're going to have to be playing with a level playing field, or they're not going to play ball. And so anyway, let's see how this goes. But I would highly suggest you guys come in, stop by, try a Patreon with us. Just try it for 30 days and see if you like it. If you don't, it's easy. You just have to opt out. It's not a big deal. What does it cost? About 30 cents a day. So anyway, the value is immense. This type of information you can get just about 24/7 as we analyze it going forward. And I think it's a fascinating time to be involved in your investment. If you're involved, you have an understanding of what you actually are going to go through. And then we hopefully will be able to learn what we're going to go through together too. Because once this happens, or once they make a big move, things are going to change in your life. So be prepared, be grounded, understand it, and think that you can find people like-minded that have good intentions to help. Okay, so anyway, Militiaman and crew are hopefully going to be a part of that for you. And we're glad to be here, glad to be helpful, and I hope you guys like it. So please hit my subscribe button, tap that like button, and of course, we have Zelle, Venmo, and PayPal to keep this place up and running and firing off. Thank you. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.